Hey everyone, it's Allie, and unfortunately we have to break some news concerning Last Epoch Season 2 launch that, well, is maybe sad / good news / mixed news, depending on how you receive it. Last Epoch Season 2 was meant to launch on April 2nd. This is a date that we've known about for a few weeks at this point, and it was something that a lot of people were really excited for, especially given that Season 2 is going to be a pretty big deal. It's been something that they've been cooking for almost a year at this point, and the amount of content and updates that are going to come with it are, well, frankly, insane. Personally, I believe that Season 2 is going to straight up be the single biggest update in any ARPG that we're going to see for the rest of the year, as my God, did they cook, and my God, is this going to be filled with things that people are both really looking forward to and changes to the game that people have been asking for quite a while. I'm going to make a whole video discussing everything that's coming and plan to have it out actually in a few days, but well, given that now Last Epoch's launch is being moved from April 2nd to April 17th, we're unfortunately going to have to delay that video a little bit. The reason it's being delayed is, well, because of Path of Exile. While we have known about the release date for Last Epoch Season 2 for a few weeks now, I think a few days ago, maybe about a week or so ago, GG decided to announce that the release date for 0.2 is going to happen on April 4th, which is, well, only 2 days after Season 2 of Last Epoch is meant to start. If you don't know much about how ARPGs work, especially with their monetization scheme, pretty much every seasonal ARPG makes the majority of the money that's going to make in its content release in the first week to 2 weeks of it being out. This is why, in the past, GG have been very meticulous about choosing a date for their season launches that doesn't conflict with any other major game coming out, so people have more incentive to play the game. And we know this because GG have, well, done this in the past, have delayed Path of Exile 1 seasons because of this, and have also extensively talked about this years ago. For example, in the past, GG decided to completely delay Path of Exile 1 season, I forget exactly which one it was, just because Cyberpunk of all games is coming out, and they were afraid that was going to cannibalize some of the players who were looking forward to playing that season of Path of Exile, and well, that means they would have potentially lost money. This is even worse when ARPGs are looking to release their seasons near each other because, well, there's going to be a lot of cannibalization between two games, where if one game kind of ends up not being the greatest and the other game ends up being pretty good and it only releases a day or two after, well, people are just going to move on from one game to the other, and well, the company that puts out a quote-unquote weaker patch is the one that ends up getting to lose pretty massively financially. It's in every ARPG's best interest to try and release their content decently far apart from each other, and well, unfortunately here we have a pretty bad conflict. Now, this all could just be a coincidence. There's really 3 ways to look at this. Either 1, GG just doesn't really care and they just wanted to get out their content as soon as possible. 2, they don't necessarily care too much about Last Epoch and they're looking to get their season out before Diablo 4's next season, as I believe that's coming out in the middle of April. Or 3, GG is just pulling a Blizzard ego move, which is something very popular by Blizzard to do, where they just don't care about literally anything else and they just release their content whenever they feel like it, even if it's the literal worst possible time, because, well, who knows? They think everyone's going to play their game because they're Blizzard and they're a bigger deal or something. Realistically, we don't know exactly why this is the case, but, well, those are the 3 most likely reasons. In my opinion, I feel like this really sucks, but at the same time, I guess it's a good thing, and there's a silver line to this, to where we can now enjoy both the start of Last Epoch Season 2 and Path of Exile's 2 patch 0.2 launch, because, well, realistically, the most fun time in RPG is the first week or two, where it feels like it's very community-driven, everyone's playing, everyone's having fun, everyone's discovering new things, and just, to me, it feels really fun when the economy's fresh and everyone's just exploring everything at the same time. To me, past a few weeks into a season, it kind of gets a little bit boring, given that people start to quit and start to play other things, and there's not as many people hanging around and having fun. And it would have really sucked having to choose between Last Epoch and Path of Exile 2 for the sake of experiencing the season start, and now we can get to experience both. I do feel pretty bad for EHD, given that they did announce this first, and it sucks that they now have to push their content release schedule back because GG most likely weren't going to budge. GG most likely weren't going to care. And yeah, it kind of sucks because if you don't know much about the two companies, both EHG and GG have been in talks with each other for a very long time. And this is something that they've both privately discussed in order to make sure that they don't screw each other over. We know from EHD telling us this that they have done everything they can to always work around each other so this conflict doesn't happen. If you don't really know much about Last Epoch Season 2, it was originally slated to come out around October, if I'm not mistaken, but EHG decided to delay it because it would have been very close to PoE 2 early access launch, and well, again, that would have been bad for both games. They decided to then delay it to somewhere around the beginning of 2025, if I'm not mistaken, but again, that was then going to conflict with 3.26's launch, which we now know GG haven't even bothered to actually start working on, and they were going to then delay it further, and unfortunately, they now kind of just had to randomly pick a date because all they knew about 0.2 coming out for Path of Exile 2 is that it was going to come out sometime in the future. All of us were speculating it was going to be somewhere around April to May or or so. And well, it basically seems like they had to just take a shot in the dark of when they could finally ship their product at a reasonable time where it doesn't conflict with anything. Fortunately, it seems like they did not pick very well, and or DG decided just pick a date right next to them because who knows? And then, well, they have to delay their content. If you were interested in playing both games, then great. I think it's a win for everyone. And while I was ready to completely drop 0.2 and not be interested in it at all, I do get a chance to play now, which I'm pretty excited for. And I also get to play Season 2 of Last Epoch and have fun in both games. If you're only really interested in Last Epoch, this does suck. They now just have to wait 2 extra weeks, and it feels like you're basically being punished because the bigger game is releasing their stuff at the same time. And if you were a PoE2 only player and had no interest in Last Epoch, I guess you don't really have a foot in the race and don't really care that much about it. Anyways, that's the news. That's my opinion on it. It is what it is, but now we get to have fun in both games. And I'll be covering a little bit of Path of Exile 2 before we do swap over to Last Epoch Season 2. I am unbelievably excited for it. I think it's going to be so much fun. And again, like I said, I believe it's going to be the single biggest updates in any RPG for this year. And I think a lot of people are going to really fall in love with it. And if they've never tried out Last Epoch, you're going to most likely want to try it out for Season 2. If you'd like to discuss any further, feel free to leave a comment in the comments below. I'd be more than happy to discuss any of this with you as soon as I can. I also stream on Twitch every single day, so feel free to come by Twitch and discuss it with me there. Or if you simply want to come and hang out with all the other kitties and be a part of our community, I'd be more than happy to see you there as well. With all that said, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you all in the next video.